this is a little blurry, but I definitely wanted to touch on the empowerment priorities, because what empowerment really advocates for, again, is ensuring that young people transition out of foster care successfully, that they make this transition and they're able to go out into the community and they're able to connect, and they're not just looking for the next system to support them, but they're actually interconnected within their community. And so one of the things with the Medicaid benefits, just continued monitoring, ensuring that young people know how to access that particular resource. And also when young people age out of foster care, just ensuring that they know exactly what things that, for example, if they decide to receive extended services, that they know exactly what those services entail. And so these are some of the priorities that Empowerment outlined that are pivotal for ensuring that those young people transition out and have those available resources. And the stable school experience, I spoke about a little earlier, but that was a huge thing for me, because once I got into a stable school setting, I was able to begin to excel because I had that individualized attention. And then also there was, people actually saw, like I actually realized I was smart. I was like, what? This whole time I thought I was like not smart. But I actually realized that I was actually capable of learning and capable of excelling when I had that stable school experience.
Crystal, I just want to give an update. The Medicaid benefits, they now have increased to 26, and America took over in January for all of foster care Medicaid, and so they're extending all of Medicaid services for young people who age out of foster care up to 26. We're still working on how that works, but.
Yeah, and I knew that was a big deal. Yeah, because a lot of young people were like, okay, well, a young person in the general population can stay on their parents until 26. So, so I know that was a big thing that that people were advocating for. So, yay! So basically, the continued monitoring of supports for educational stability and the stable school experience. Improve relationships with case managers, and I think that's one of the things, personally, I didn't know my case managers. I probably knew like one, and I had a lot of them. I didn't know who they were, but one thing that I did know who, when I got older, I knew who my IOP, my independent living coordinator was, and that's the person who's specifically responsible for those services allotted to the 14 and up young people. So school assistants, extracurricular, I didn't know who that person was. And again, building that social capital is a huge deal, because young people need to know how to navigate and how to build relationships outside of foster care. One of the other things that I personally advocate for is ensuring that young people have stable housing, and that they're able to not only have housing that is affordable and that kind of thing, but it's also safe and sustainable. And so what are the options and the resources available for that? Because again, and I'm going to talk about this a little later, for those older young people transitioning out between the ages of 18 and 21, their housing situation has to be conducive and developmentally appropriate for their age group. And so we have to ask ourselves the question, is it developmentally appropriate for a young person who's 19 to be under the same rules and the same expectation as a young person who's 6, and then just thinking about, okay, well, what should it look like? And even thinking about our own families, okay, what does it look like? The differences in, in a household that's in the general population. And then also there was a big advocacy movement for youth and I don't know much about this particular movement personally, but I know that for young teen moms who have their child while they're in care, just a push to ensure that they could maintain custody of their child when possible, and that it wasn't an automatic that they have a child and then their child automatically goes into care because they're in care. And so I know there's been a push. Judge, did you know more?
What I was going to tell you is that now there's a policy stating that you do not have to remove simply because the birth has occurred in foster care, and judges can make a finding of no reasonable efforts if the department separates babies from moms. And I'm adamant that that not happen, and it's better.
Mm-hmm.
What's the policy on youth in the foster care system who are older teens receiving some type of kind of training information about their own sexuality and becoming parents?
That's part of independent living, and they have access to all that. And we did have some great teen health clinics in public health
I think so.
It varies widely. There have been times where our birth rate among our foster care children has been high, and then times where it's been low. But our overall state birth rate is, for teens is down, as our second births. That's tracked with public health data.
Right, I knew for overall it was, but what about for the foster?
Well, and nationally, so not in Georgia, I don't actually know the Georgia statistics, but nationally, you're looking at rates that are twice as high as the general population of kids who are in foster care, in terms of their likelihood of becoming young parents. And it has, you can imagine,
So
also,
there's a good opportunity within that.
there's a,
Calculation. We work with a lot of different programs, and we have teen moms that are literally 13 having their first babies, and they're trying to educate so that they don't have a second baby, and trying to help support.
And that's a good point. A
And-
lot of times the reason
Right.
they're coming into care is because they aren't pregnant.
Right.
At
Mhm.
way below the age of consent, because of
Right.
various sexual abuse, trafficking, and things of that sort. So sometimes the birth is not that they were in foster care and then sexually active, but that the birth is a part of the abuse process in and of itself.
Crystal, do you guys work with PrEP? I don't know enough about it, but isn't PrEP part of this conversation? There's a program, what's a new program at DFACS called PrEP, and I don't know, can you tell you what it stands for?
Yeah,
The many
I'm not sure.
acronyms.
I know that we work with Teen Parent Protection, we've been working a lot with DFACS on education, and we actually had a grant through the government for children and families to work on, to work with teen moms and teaching them how to parent, and they helped, that empowerment group through Teen Parent Connection helped change that practice, that policy practice several years ago to keep, so that moms could stay with their babies. Because it was practice, we've run into lots of laws where you have, as I'm sure you know, where if a teenager has a baby, and the baby's in custody, the baby has to have to achieve permanency within a certain period of time. But if the child isn't gonna reach 18 and be able to be the parent, then even though they're together, the baby has to reach permanency. So they were adopting babies out from living with their moms. But that doesn't happen
No.
anymore.
Again, it's making that no
Right.
reasonable effort to find if you separate the parent and the child.
Right.
That is the tool that the courts use
Right.
to enforce good policy.
I have a question, it's on another area, I'm really interested in what you think as a state we can do to help young people, be prepared to be independent, like teaching them financial literacy, like helping them find their first job, getting their driver's license, making sure that we put into place, things such that they will make the positive decisions that they need to be independent, stable, successful adults.
Yeah, and I'm going to go a little bit into detail about that a little later in the presentation, but I will say, no, because this is something I'm extremely passionate about. I will say that it's definitely not a program or a workshop that is going to help a young person to achieve these outcomes. It's going to have to be a consistent, systematic approach to wrapping supports around a young person that are individualized to their particular needs and that are developmentally appropriate for that particular young person. That's what worked for me. And that's why I can say it so boldly. It wasn't, there were things that happened, experiences that I was given while in care that were funded by the state that were awesome and that were extremely beneficial. But the most beneficial things for me was community. And not just, community as in the place where I live, but community in being able to connect with a group of other young people who had gone through, and then also being able to connect with professionals who were not touched by the foster